Welcome back to the Simulation Basketball Association. It's your boy Kamish Mula, and we are here for the podcast, man. This is podcast episode 4, and it's been lit rocking with y'all. Let me get a hashtag Noti Gang in the chat for all of my guys of the Noti Gang, all the guys that get here first before I get to send out the links to the Discord. Shout out to my Noti Gang guys. Shout out to the whole SBA community, man. We've been growing and flowing, fellas. Let's keep it going. Overseas tour has been lit. Shout out to my guy Demo in the building. Devontae Moore, small forward of that championship winning Syracuse Orange team, man. Shout out to my guy Demo in the chat. Rico as well. Eddie B. Yes, sir. The guys are here. PV in the building. Yes, sir. Podcast is live. I'm getting that link out, guys, and then we rocking. Let's go. PV in the chat. Rico in the chat. Eddie Bowles, aka Roland Woods, in the building. PV. So we're gonna get into this thing, man. Overseas tour has been spicy. Really starting to see, what these teams is about. Like, we really getting to see what these teams about. We kind of getting into that mid-season mark for some of the teams. We're gonna go over the power rankings. We're gonna go over the conference stats, 2 conferences, 12 teams, 6 teams each conference. We're going to get into each player's stats as well in this podcast. We're going to dig deep in this podcast, man. We're going to look at some player stats. So we're going to look at each team and see what the players are doing, see what these generics is doing, learn about what's really going on in this overseas tour. Because, like I said, we starting to hit that midway mark for most of the teams, and it's just going to be lit checking it out. So J.O. is in the building, calling himself Mr. Disrespected. J.O. not liking how guys have been coming at him in the Discord. Shout out to the Discord community, man. If you new and you tuned in, you gotta get in the Discord with the guys. We be turning up, we be having fun, all competitive fun though. And that's what I love about our league. We champion that so much. And trust me, bro, we do not want to miss out on this SBA content. We going up. Overseas tour is rocking. High school on the way. College series was lit. You gotta go binge watch that. But back to the podcast, though, man. I'm telling y'all, shout out to Jay Pickens, Adobe in the building. Shout out to my guy, Duke. Duke Spliff in the building. Duke of Doms. He was definitely doming this week. And we're going to talk about that. So let's get into these games. Let's get into the first game, actually. Let me stop this share screen real quick. And let me get the other one going. So we get the Instagram. And we can see what was going on, man. Are y'all guys ready? How y'all feeling overseas tour? Talk to me. Talk to me, fellas. How y'all feeling the overseas tour so far? How y'all been feeling the overseas tour? I'm in the chat. They gonna eat those words. Definitely gotta hit that like button, fellas, if you haven't already. And we gonna jump right into this. I'm getting the Instagram up right now so we could go through each game. We're gonna go through each game first. We're gonna talk about each game, play the game stats. You know how we do. And then we're gonna dive into different topics while we're talking about that game. While y'all giving me y'all piece about that game. Shout out to my guy D'Angelo Cannon in the building. Yes, sir. So yeah, man, this is the first game right here. Y'all can see that. Can y'all see that good enough? The first games of the week. The first game of week 2. So CB Canarias take on FC Bayern, man. The boy Jaden Blue had 26 points, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists. Jaden Blue been looking all right for CB Canarias, man. Jaden Blue been looking good if you ask me. I ain't gonna lie. I've been liking what I've been seeing out of Jaden Blue. Last night's opening day of week 2 picked up right where week 1 left off with nonstop action. Canarius handled Bayern pretty much like we expected, and a young PG, Jaden Blue, came away with his second consecutive 20-point game. Canarius was 2-0 at that point. I asked how long can y'all see that streak lasting, but to start the week, definitely, man. Jaden Blue did his thing. Canarius got it done against FC Bayern. And FC Bayern got them young guys that got potential, but Ariel, Severio, man, Juice, and Jaden Blue is just a lot. They scrappy guards, bro. They play D. They can score. They can hit the 3 at a high level. So they're definitely going to be tough for a lot of teams anytime you going against that CB Canarias team, man. They play defense and they can shoot the ball. So, and they're aggressive. They're very aggressive. Like Ariel Severio is a super aggressive scorer. So is OJ Alberger, the juice man. And then Jaden Blue too. He's gonna make sure he get his shot going. Shout out to Eric Ashley, aka Ash Erickson, the Norway Nightmare in the building. Yeah, the SBA community is lit. Can I get a hashtag our league in the chat? Let's get it going, guys, and hit that like button. Hashtag our league. But yeah, man, Jaden Blue definitely impressive, impressive, impressive up until this point. Like we're gonna get into the averages and stuff later. So I don't want to dig too deep into what each player is doing, but Jaden Blue definitely did what he was supposed to do in this one, and Canarias got it done. Bayern is young, and they still got a lot of developing to do. Tyrone Atkins has been the brightest spot for Bayern, but I don't know if Tyrone Atkins is gonna be enough to get it done with so much competition on these other teams. It's a lot of players and a lot of talent on these other teams, and Tyrone Atkins by himself. I mean, NJ Abaya is a young dude, and he could get you some points. But I don't know, I don't know if that's enough. Him and Timmy Turner is still young and they got to develop. I don't know if they're going to want to develop on the SBA level or, stay with Bayern and try to, get their game together and get a ring on the overseas level. But that's going to be interesting to see. And, that remains to be seen. But CB Canarias got it done. We're going to get into each player, like I said, later. We're just going to try to get through these games pretty quickly. I don't want to be, stuck on the games for too long. But the second game of the week, Tyon Nickerson is continuing to prove the GM of Olympia right for handing the young PG the keys to the organization. Had a little typo there. Milano was 2-0 at that point and certainly starting to look like a powerhouse in OT1. Tyon Nickerson, 24 points, 8 rebounds, and 12 assists against Barcelona. And that's just a great performance right there for Tyon, man. Tyon really playing good in this series, especially to start off for Olympia Milano. And like I said, man, I know that the general manager of Olympia Milano is excited to have a young point guard like that, giving you that much production. He's 19 years old and he's on the court with a bunch of users. I figured having a young point guard and all those users, I thought it would take time for that team to gel. But Tyon is really getting it done for them right now at the helm. Yes, he has a lot of help, but he's still pulling up numbers. That's high production right there for my bad. I clicked out of it. But that's high production right there for a young point guard at the overseas level with so much competition and everything that's been going on. Like it's a lot of teams that has like a lot of talent, man. So to jump off to a 4-0 start like this with the team that they have, that is big for Milano moving forward. That is huge momentum, and that's exactly what you want if you're any team when you're in a competitive like series like this here in OT1. So big shout out to Tyon. Shout out to all those guys over there, man. DJ Watts had a good game in this one as well. Kennard Roden, like Kennard Roden is really like the captain of this team, the driving force of this team. And Kennard Roden really, Tyon is the general, but Kennard Roden is kind of like sharing that role with him. It's kind of like how you see Eddie Bowes and Duke Spliff for the SBA Select. It's the same dynamic here with Milano. Just a little slightly different because they have DJ Watts, who's more of a post scoring presence than what the Select have. Ash is more of a grit and grind type of guy, defensive rebounding guy, and then you got DJ Watts, who's a scorer. So yeah, like it's like that kind of dynamic right there. And Kennard Roden, Tyon, and DJ Watts and Patrick Vince, the shooter, all play well off each other beautifully. So it's just been interesting to see how Milano played and get this win right here against Barcelona. That's huge. That's the defending champs. We know that they're super talented, and Milano with another big win here. So shout out to the. What do you guys think about Milano? How did you guys feel about this game? Talk to me in the chat, fellas. How did you guys feel about this game? I'm like, if you guys checked out the game, it was it was just one of those games that you knew it was gonna be a goodie, but Milano has controlled a lot of these games, and against some good competition, they just look to they just seem to be comfortable and really playing at a controlled pace. And I like the game plan that this team has been implementing. I think the coaching staff and everything about Milano has just been working in their favor right now as far as users and everything. Excuse me, guys. But I've really been liking what I'm seeing from Milano. They can be scary. I think you could argue that they got 3 users on Milano that's like MVP candidates that could potentially be MVP candidates. Like Roden, Tyon, and DJ Watts all can pretty much be like an MVP candidate. So it's crazy. It's like they just find a way to win good games, and you just can't knock them, man. It's just good basketball coming out of Olympia Milano. And I'm excited to see if they can keep up with this effort, man. So I don't want to stay on these games too long. And like I said, we're going to do a deep dive into each user and his stats later. But let's just keep it going and let's get this show on the road. Mike Simmons coming away with play of the game in this one. Virtus versus Hopeful Tel Aviv. Thank you, Mama. I can't eat the icy right. Me guys, my daughter's getting a bit excited, but yeah, Virtus versus Hopeful Tel Aviv in this one. Michael Simmons and Virtus get back on track with a big victory against Hopeful Tel Aviv. Many had Tel Aviv as the favorites in this one, but between the guards Simmons and Washington of Virtus, they would not be denied a victory in this one. And this was another good game, man. Michael Simmons is really coming on nicely for Virtus. And Virtus is putting together some wins, man. Shout out to the guys in the chat. Shout out to Olin, Ray Gambino, PV, EA. You know how we rocking. Our league in the building. SBA community is lit. But yeah, man, Michael Simmons really coming on, and I'm liking what I'm seeing from this kid. Really leading this Virtus team. And yes, he has help. They have a very talented team. A lot of guys over there. That Washington kid is good. Like I like what I've seen from the Washington kid as well. That's a beautiful 1-2 punch. They also have a good big man as well. And shout out to Virtus, man. They're gonna make some noise. Not a team that I really expected to be too crazy, but then when I look at them and been seeing how they've been faring, especially this week because they had a nice couple of games. Mike Simmons and Virtus might be a team to watch, man. You got to be careful when you playing against Mike Simmons and Virtus. He had a good game in this one, efficient game, and I like what I've seen from him. 20 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Would like to see him play make a little more, but we know if you watch his game, he's definitely a good playmaker. Definitely gets his teammates involved. A ton of vision on this kid. So shout out to Mike Simmons, man, and shout out to Virtus picking up a big win here. Hopeful Tel Aviv. They got the young JT Carter, and they have Jamal Giddy. Jamal Giddy and JT Carter looking good, getting better with every game. These guys are very young. When Wendell Fields, the generic over there as well, but they've been just having some rough patches, man, getting the rough end of the stick in some of these games. But still, shout out to those dudes, man. Those dudes play hard. Those dudes play good, and they've been working on their tendencies as well, getting that right. And shout out to the Tel Aviv guys, but the guys in the chat. Let me see what's going on. Kobe Bamba, Mongol Bamba in the building. Let's move on to the next game here. Next game, we had FC Bayern. This was day 2. We had FC Bayern. Let me make sure that's correct. Yeah. We had FC Bayern versus the SBA Select. SBA Select moves on to 2-1 after taking out FC Bayern in convincing fashion. The Select's users played their role to a T en route to the victory. Eddie Bowles, shout out to my guy Eddie Bowles. Look up these guys on Instagram too. Make sure you follow the players, man. Follow the community. Get in tune, man. If you haven't already, hit that like button, guys. But Eddie Bowles took home the Player of the Game honors as he orchestrated a beautiful game for the Select. And yes, this was a good game. Like I said, FC Bayern, man, they're able to stick in these games, but then they eventually fall off because I just think it's just a lot of young talent. You know, they don't really have a lot of older guys. Tyrone Atkins is one of the oldest guys over there. And he's their star player, but it's just not enough. Timmy Turner and NJ Abaya still needs time to develop. They're super talented, and I think they can maybe sneak a couple of wins. But against a team like the Select, who has a ton of talent around them, I don't know how long a team like FC Bayern is going to be able to stick around. And watching this game, that's what you saw. They stuck around early. Second half came, it was a wrap. Select started to take off. Eddie B was doing his thing. The rest of the Select guys got going, and it was just, pretty much out of reach from there. But shout out to Eddie Bowles and the SBA Select, man, looking very good in this one. Eddie B wanted to play make a lot better in this one. Didn't get to the 10 assists, but still had a good game, man. Still play make and, had a decent outing. So shout out to my guy Eddie B. Shout out to the SBA Select. Shout out to my guys in the chat, keeping the chat lit, keeping the chat rocking. But next game, let's get into the next game. I'm trying to breeze through these games real quick. DJ Watts. DJ Watts was a handful last night as the 21-year-old big man could not be stopped on the interior. Whenever Milano is working their offense through the talented big man, the game is in reach. Milano now moves to win 3 in 3 games this season. DJ Watts, 18 points, 18 rebounds, 2 assists against CB Canarias. And like I said, man, earlier on in that CB Canarias win where Jaden Blue had the play of the game, CB Canarias is a young, scrappy team. They got scrappy guys that can shoot it as well, aggressive scorers. So this is another big win in week 2 for Milano, man. Milano just showing you that they could get it done inside out. Tyon got play of the game in the first game of this week, and then DJ Watts with the play of the game in this one. And as you can see, he dominated in the paint. 18 points, very efficient in this outing, 18 rebounds. And the paint was just his, man. Milano's going to be a tough team to play and a tough team to beat whenever you got a guy like DJ Watts at the big doing his thing. Like, you're not going to be able to beat these guys whenever he's playing like this. Like, this is almost like what we were seeing from DJ House in the college series. Like, just a consistent, aggressive effort on the interior, in the post, rebounding. And he's one of those classic bigs, man. That's what I'm saying. Like, can some of these guys in this series, in the college series, bring that classic big back, man? These guys aren't shooting threes. They're straight letting you have it in the post. And shout out to DJ Watts, really doing his thing. CB Canarias in some tough games this week. They got away with a win in the first one and then just couldn't beat, Milano. Milano was tough. Not everybody's going to be able to put up, a tough game against Milano. They're so consistent in their, approach. They play at their pace, a ton of talent from the user core. And, they could play inside out, outside in, however you want it. So shout out to Milano. That was their second win of the week. And they did their thing, man. DJ Watts, just a beast, man, in the paint. It's never going to be an easy job on any big man that got to deal with this kid in the post. Shout out to my guy, DJ Watts. Later in the week, we saw Anna Efes versus Alba Berlin. Russ Macy, the generic center of Berlin, would not be denied a win versus Anna Efes. The versatile big scored from inside out and was a force to be reckoned with in the rebounding department. How do you think Berlin will fare this season? This was a huge win for Berlin. Anna Efes was a team that I think was in a bit of an uptrend from what we were seeing from Fenton. I think people wanted to see them get hot, and I don't think that people thought that Albert Berlin was gonna compete and get a win here, and this was huge, man. Russ Macy looked good. This dude, Russ Macy, is big, big, tall dude. I think he's around 7'2", 230 pounds. And he can shoot it too. Like, he has a nice jump shot. Not too much of an aggressive rebounder, but for his size, he gets the job done. As you can see, putting up 15 rebounds in this game, 18 points. But I'm very impressed on the inside out game. Not too much of a force on the interior. Like, the strength is not going to wow you crazy where he's just slamming it on everybody in the paint, but he can put it on your head, and then he can step out and hit an open three in a pick and pop or in a catch and shoot if you're sleeping. So shout out to Russ Macy, even showing some playmaking ability with 6 assists here. He's a young guy too. You're definitely going to want to watch him and see what he does, even though he's a generic player, because bro, he's getting it done. Like, look at those stats right there for a big man, almost Jokic-like in comparison from an NBA level. But shout out to Albert Berlin, really getting it done. Shout out to Chris Ross, Christian Jackson, those young guards over there looking really good. Albert Berlin at 1-1 with this win right here. And this was big. I think this was big. Really being able to contain Fenton and the rest of the guys that they have there, Art Bell, Desmond Wallace. I don't think Mongu Bamba played in this game. Yeah, no, he didn't play in this game. So, yeah, man, for them to be able to come away with a win right there, though, still with the talent that Anna F has on their team, that's a big win for Alba Berlin and those young guys right there. So, big shout out to them Berlin guys for getting it done. Let me see what's going on in the chat. The guys in the chat still keeping it rocking. Let me get a hashtag OT1 in the chat as we are getting through these games. I was just putting different things on the screen there. Not that they really matter, guys, but the next game on the list was another Anna Efes game, but in this one, Anna Efes came away with the win. Zanu Fenton continues his tear. Many people believe he is the favorite to win the MVP of the overseas tour. Anna Efes is now 2-2, but with Mongu Bamba back in rotation, they are definitely capable of being a powerhouse. Zanu Fenton, this is a huge game in which they beat an undefeated Partizan Nice by 1 point. This game came down to the wire. Fenton had a beautiful basket that was a game winner, basically, over the smaller Shah Hall. Yeah, that definitely was the game winner. After Shah Hall missed the three-pointer to win after that with like a couple of seconds left. But Zanu Fenton continuing his tear, man. These numbers that we're seeing from Fenton is just unmatched right now in the series. Like, yeah, we have teams having better success than Anna Efes, but from a player perspective, if I'm being real, Zanu Fenton has just separated himself from the pack as of right now. Yes, there's other players that's very good, super talented, and you see the talent is there, but Zanu Fenton has just played at a higher level than I think anyone else to this point. Like I said, Anna Efes hasn't had the most success at this point of the season with in this game right here that we're covering. They are 2-2, and but it's still a big win. Partizan Nice was undefeated, only 2-0, but undefeated. And the talent that they have with Eric Soto and Shah Hall. And we seen, Zanu Fenton come in and lead this NFS team to a W here against that type of talent. So shout out to those guys, man. Owen Norris as well for Partizan Nice is very dangerous. So shout out to Zanu Fenton really putting on the show. And like I said, we're going to get into more individual player stats later. I want to get through these games kind of quick, but and we almost 30 minutes through, so I'm trying to get through these games at the 30-minute mark. But shout out to Zanu Fenton, man. Shout out to Anna Efes. Shout out to Mongu Bamba. This was the game that he came back, and in 16 minutes, I believe he put up 21 points. Let me see. We actually did we actually covered a news story on that for Anna Efes. Yes, Mongu Bamba has shown potential since his days at Memphis, but the performance that he put on in his debut with the surrounding circumstances shows the heart and the determination of this kid. Trending news: Mongu Bamba made his pro debut on a minute restriction due to his injuries from that unfortunate incident. However, that didn't slow Mongu down, as the uber athletic guard/forward scored 21 points, shooting an efficient 8 of 11 from the field and 2 of 4 from the three-point line in 16 minutes. Mongu Bamba really hit the ground running in this game, guys. he really turned up. To get only 16 minutes, coming on a minute restriction, we know the situation and the incident that he had after having so much controversy at Memphis, which led to him being kicked off the team due to his temper and his attitude. Mongu Bamba came back overseas, and with all of them circumstances surrounding, even coming and playing an undefeated team to kind of get his footing back, he went off in this game. That is a dog. That is dog mentality. That's what great players do. And shout out to Mongu Bamba, man. That was a huge performance, man, and perfect for the perfect storyline for a tough, hard-nosed guy like that, man. He really got it done against Partisan Nice. And big shout out to Mongu Bamba. I know he's still recovering. They said he was at 80%, but if he did that at 80%, what else can we expect from the kid, man? The kid is a dog. Like I said, him and Fenton is going to be a problem. These guys definitely have big time potential to get it done during the season in this overseas tour, and potential to be, a powerhouse. They look at that talent: Desmond Wallace, Art Bell, Mongu Bamba, Zanu Fenton. Those four guards right there can start on any team and put up quality numbers, good production. And they're here at NFS, and it may take time to get it together. But when these guys get it together, oh my God, it's gonna be dangerous, bro. It's gonna be dangerous. Shout out to my guy Slicko Mode. Appreciate you for the love, man. He said thumbnail is fire. Appreciate you, man. You know me. Try to be as creative as possible, trying to keep this thing flowing and together for you guys. And we putting it together, man. This is our league, and we have it our way, man. Shout out to my guys in the chat, turned up, OT1 PV, Eric Ashley, Olin, all the guys, man, in the chat. Leave a comment if you're here. Hit that like button if you haven't already. But let's get on to the next game. Mongu Bamba, really a dog, man. Got it done. Hapoel Tel Aviv got its first win in this game against Real Madrid. JT Carter is an absolute man-child, standing at 7'2", 250 pounds. The young big man is oozing with the potential to be one of the best bigs in the SBA. In a game that saw Hapoel secure its first win of the season, the young center was ridiculous, scoring 26 on 12 of 13 shots, all in the low post. Will he bring back the classic big JT Carter, the young JT Carter, 26 points, 20 rebounds, and 5 blocks? Will the big man-child JT Carter bring the classic big back, man? JT Carter was a beast in this one. He's been a beast all year, and I like what I've seen from Hapoel Tel Aviv, man. Really revolving their play around their young guys. Wendell Fields, the generic, he's really leading the charge from a scoring standpoint. But then you got JT Carter and Jamal Giddey, who really is just like gelling together, starting to gel and form together really well. And I think you got to watch out for them. Yes, they only 1-3 right now, and this was their first win of the season at this point. But they're really coming together, man. I like what I see from them. And we seen the user guys playing with their tendencies. So they're making moves, trying to get it right, trying to figure it out. And I like what I see from Hapoel Tel Aviv. On the Real Madrid side, there was a lot of controversy surrounding this game. Olin Santos came off the bench, and there was a fight with Cody Blunt and Tyrese McGrady. And that's not what we want going on. These are pro organizations, so I'll let them handle those type of things internally. But I seen it getting out in the media, and the media was on top of it. Best kept secret. Shout out to Best Kept Secret. Shout out to Mongu Bamba, and shout out to Mark. Shout out to Mark Williamson as well. Our media team making sure they're on top of things, really covering these stories. Follow them on Instagram as well. I'm doing everything through Instagram. I'm gonna show those guys things as well. But yeah, follow us on Instagram. Get into with these news stories and the storylines of these players. But yeah, man, Real Madrid just not very classy after that loss. Tyrese McGrady is a fierce competitor, and I know he wants to win and was probably just, heated in that moment. But that's not how we want to carry ourselves, guys. Shout out to my media guys once again, being on top of it. You don't want to be like that in the media, because who knows if SBA teams are going to want to deal with things like that if that's his goal. Maybe Tyrese McGrady, he's a huge talent anyway. I'm pretty sure SBA teams will put up with it anyway. But That's just not what you want to give off. You don't want to give off that feel. And Real Madrid struggling. So I know that guys are a bit frustrated, but let's see if Coach Nunn and those users over there could get it together, because Therese McGrady's good, Olin's good, so is Suave Cortez, but they just couldn't get it done in this one. And Hopeful Tel Aviv is a good team, man, so they can't hang their hats. But shout out to Jamal Giddey and JT Carter really getting it done in this one, man, showing the league that they're here. And it's not going to be easy when you're going against that young core of Wendell Fields, Jamal Giddey, and JT Carter. Digging more into the young core, we had some trending news as well. Jamal Giddey, 20 years old, right now averaging 16.25 points per game. Hold on, I got a notification. I thought maybe something happened, but no. Jamal Giddey averaging 16.25 points per game, 6 assists per game, 6 rebounds per game. Then you got the young JT Carter at 20 years old, averaging 24.5 points per game, 12.5 rebounds per game, and 3.25 blocks per game. 20 years old, getting that as out of two 20-year-old rookies. They're rookies in the overseas tour. This is their first season. Getting that type of production is beautiful. I know that you're 1-3 at this point, but that's beautiful production. And then you got Wendell Fields, the 22-year-old, leading the charge, 21.75 points per game, 6.5 assists per game, and 3.25 rebounds per game. So Wendell Fields, not a big guy, but definitely big play and big production coming out of this guy through 4 games. Hopeful Tel Aviv would have loved to be on the more winning side of things, currently at 1-3. However, their opponents through this stretch have had a combined record of 6-2. So it's safe to say that they were just on the wrong end of a highly competitive stretch. A plus to take away from this stretch, however, is the production they're getting from their young big three. And of course, I just went over the numbers for their young big three. But like I said, man, Hopeful Tel Aviv really coming on strong and looking good, man, doing their thing. And yeah, this young core is looking good. The young big three is looking very good. I don't know if they're going to be able to keep this big three, as a lot of guys are going to be trying to hit the floodgates of the SBA, especially being that this is the first season and it's going to be about 14 rounds uh, in the SBA draft to fill out all of the pro teams. I know a lot of guys are going to go there and get that money, but this would have been a beautiful young core if they can keep it. And who knows? I'm not saying if. Maybe they could keep it together. Maybe Jamal Giddey and JT Carter feel like they got some unfinished business. Maybe Wendell Fields joins them, and maybe they make a run and get a win here. Who knows? Never know what the future holds. But I think it's going to be hard for a lot of teams to keep these overseas cores together with the SBA draft coming along, man. And I think this is going to be a very interesting topic with this first year. In the future, is going to be a lot of guys maybe moving from the SBA level to overseas because they want more playing time, or they want to be that guy and still compete at a high level. Then you may have the mixing of college guys wanting to step up in talent if they, felt like they did good in college, but not enough to go to the SBA. But for this first season, I think a lot of overseas teams are going to lose their core foundation of guys to the SBA and have to rebuild again. So it's going to be interesting to see who can really make this run for this overseas tour, one title, and then restructure properly. But Hopeful Tel Aviv has a beautiful young core right now, growing, and I like what I see, man. I think they're a fun team to watch, even though they're 1-3. And big shout out to them, man. I'm not going to go over that video of the dunks of the night because I'm not sure how it will look on stream right now. But we're going to get into the last day of games, day 3 of games. Pardon me, guys. Need a nice little water break. But we're about to get into the day 3 of the games for week 2. No, actually, this is day 4. Pardon me. We're about to get into the final game of week 4. The final 3 games of week 2, I mean. Day 4, week 2, day 4. So the first game saw Olympia versus FC Bayern. And I know that we all thought, yeah, definitely, man. I ain't gonna hold you. I'm feeling parched. Yeah, I know I rolled a good one before this, so I'm feeling good, man. But let me get right back into this action, guys. As many expected, Olympia Milano simply outclassed and completely outmatched to continue their outmatch. I meant to put FC Bayern to continue their hot streak at 4-0. The continued poised leadership and production of Tyon Nickerson has been an emerging story in Milano. This new coaching staff and plethora of user talent has looked really good for Milano and OT1 thus far, but can they keep it up? And if they do, how will they keep all this talent from leaving to the SBA? I hit on that before getting into this graphic, but in this game, man, Milano pretty much blew these guys out. Much of what we expected. Tyon played terrific again. Um, like I said, Milano has 3 MVP candidates up until this point. Tyon is one of them. 23 points in this one, 4 rebounds, 11 assists. And my guy Tyon really just put on a show. FC Bayern tried, man. NJ Abaya was going off. He had about 30-something points in his game against a talented Milano team, a stacked Milano team. But just not enough help, man. Tyrone Atkins played decent as well. Timmy Turner tried to pick his spots here and there. But for the most part, Milano was just way too much for FC Bayern, man. Milano was way too much. Way too much, man. Way too much. It'd be a lot going on. And I just think in the nitty gritty of the game, Bayern is just the young guys lose it and they don't have the poise that we've seen from like guys like Tyon, some of the young guys like Tyon. Even though NJ Abaya, like I said, played terrific in this game and he was definitely a huge bright spot for FC Bayern in this game, trying to get it done. Tyrone Atkins helped them, but how much can Tyrone Atkins do when you got that guy DJ Watts lurking in the paint? And it's just kind of hard. You're not going to be able to do as much as you would like. And FC Bayern had a hard time, man. Shout out to the guys in the chat, man. My guy Alvin Mack says Mullah is the hardest working man in simulation basketball. I'm trying to be, bro. I'm trying to be. Y'all deserve top tier, and I'm trying to be as top tier as I can with what I got right now. The staff been rocking. Shout out to my staff, man. Can I get a hashtag staff? These dudes do a good job at trying to assist me, and any help I need, they try to get it done. I'm used to being a one-man show, so I'm getting better now at like showing them how to help me. So if it's ever any hold up, it's not these guys, it's me. I'm just learning how to use the help. Even my girl, she's trying to help me all the time with stuff, but I'm just used to just getting it done. So whenever I think like something got to get done, I'm used to just jumping on it and doing it. So I got to just communicate better with my staff and like, find a better system to get these things rolling out to you guys. But we've been moving at a great pace. OT1 is moving at a great pace as well. We getting midway through most of the teams. We're about to hit week 3 of 7 weeks. So we're literally, really flying through it, man. Shout out to all the guys in the chat, man, that's really rocking with us. Shout out to the whole community. But we're really getting through this thing, man. And in this game, like I said, man, Olympia just way too much for FC Bayern. Tyon played terrific, facilitated a great game. I'm loving the production, loving what I'm seeing from him. Definitely a young guy, but a MVP candidate to this point. And even though I said we're gonna go over most of the teams, when I did do the report on Milano earlier today, it was kind of like an overall report. I tried to do something different for each team. You're going to see some of these reports come out after teams' games. Not every team. I may do them every 3 games. You never know when it's going to pop up for your team. And I think that's a cool dynamic to keep guys fresh with the Instagram content and looking forward to something on Instagram. You never know when your team is going to have like one of these report graphics. So, stay on the lookout for that, guys. Definitely working. But starting off 4-0 in an 11-game season has starting off 4-0 in an 11-game season has Hold on, guys. Pardon me for the little interruption. But starting off 4-0 in an 11-game season has Milano in the driver's seat, both everything to still gain, of course, by securing that championship, but also everything to lose as well, because they are now 4-0. So they got everything to gain still got to get that top seed, still want to finish the season strong, still want to secure that championship, but they also still got a target in their back and everything to lose, as they're the number one team right now at 4-0. So throughout four, we've seen a well-oiled machine that has been getting grade A production from all of its users. And that's a definite fact when it comes to Milano. All of their users are playing good. Shout out to Milano's entire organization for that hot start. But do you think they can keep this up? So that's a question for you guys in the chat. Do y'all think that Milano can keep up this effort? Look at the user players right now. Kennard Roden, 20.75 points per game, 8.5 rebounds per game, 1.5 assists per game, 43% from the field, and 26% from the three-point line. That's great numbers and great production coming from your small forward in a 1-0 team right now. Like, I'm very happy with my small forward if I'm 1-0 with those numbers right there, especially with the power and the presence that this whole team has. Patrick Vince, the shooter, 17.75 points per game, 4 rebounds per game, and 2 assists per game, 36% from the field and 31% from the three-point line. And that's again great production from my user shooting guard, my shooter shooting, 30% clip, high 30s for the field, and then 31% from the three-point line. Of course, you want to see those numbers go up a bit, but when you're 4-0 and you have, a lot of guys really sharing the ball around, and you're executing your offensive game plan to a T right now, I'm happy with that performance from my guy Patrick Vince. And Milano's looking really, really good, man. Milano's looking really, really good. What else? Let me see. Let me get back into that. Tyon Nickerson, 23.25 points per game, 6.25 rebounds per game, 8 assists per game, 47% from the field, and 38% from the three-point line. And Tyon really the floor general right now for the Tyon really the floor general right now for these guys, and I'm loving what I'm seeing from Tyon Nickerson, man. Those is big numbers coming from your young point guard, and he's playing very, very efficiently. Like, do you see how efficient Tyon is playing? Like, those field goal percentages are huge for a young 19-year-old point guard. Like, this guy's gonna be 20 by the time he's drafted to an SBA organization, and with those numbers, if he elects to go to the SBA draft, but with those numbers, 47% right now, if he can continue to play, you know, that consistent and that efficient, man, that's beautiful. To hand over the keys to a guy with this amount of productivity and then playing this efficiently, gotta love it if you're Milano. And this whole organization is just, a greater example of what you want to see for just pro talent, man. Shout out to the owner of Milano and what they're able to put together in this overseas tour here in the SBA, man. DJ Watts, 16.25 points per game, 14 rebounds per game, 3.25 assists per game, and 56% from the field. Didn't attempt any three-pointers, so didn't have that up there. But DJ Watts, again, man, when you got a big man like DJ Watts who can really hold it down in the paint, it's rare that his matchup is going to be able to, outproduce him, outwork him. So when you have 4 users on a team that can play off of each other this well, it's very hard to stop and very hard to deal with. And they're going to give teams trouble all year long. Like, they're going to give teams trouble all year long, man. And Tyon playing that efficient at this young of a, like, he may be one of the best, like, young prospects coming out of the draft. Like, we know we got Grayson, G Cash, Evans. Who else declared? Let me see who else declared. Grayson, G Cash, Evans, Ray Gambino. I think BJ did, Kadavian Polk. Like, we have a ton of young talent coming into the SBA draft first season, but Tyon is in that top tier of those guys, man. And this Milano team just as a whole looking really good. And I'm liking what I'm seeing from all of these guys, man. So hats off to those guys. Shout out to that whole organization. Want to see these guys keep doing what they're doing. And let's keep it going, man. Podcast been moving. We at the 45-minute mark, and I'm not done calling these games yet. Let me try to speed it up. We only got two games left, so that's good. But Mike Simmons strikes again in week 2. Virtus came away with a huge win in this one to move on to 2-1. Canarius is known for the scrappy and relentless play of their user guards, but Michael Simmons and company was up to task as he led Virtus to a stellar win. This was a huge win in performance for Mike's resume for sure, and this was definitely huge for Mike's resume. Whenever Mike is the only user on Virtus, and he went up against three user guards, three user guards, three user guards. He went against Severio, Juice Man, and Jaden Blue. He went against three user guards, and he came away with a good victory in huge fashion. 29 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists. And man, like, he let those guys have it. Like, in the community, we got user players. Mike Simmons dropped 29 points on 3 of the other users and came away with the win. And CBC is a scrappy team, great storyline. The user guys are very productive. Shout out to those guys, man. Great community members, Juice, Jaden Blue, and Ariel Severio. But man, Mike Simmons coming away with a huge win in this one. Shout out to my guy Rodin popping out to the chat. But yeah, man, I'm telling you, Mike Simmons putting on a show, proving his worth here. The only user on Virtus, but 29 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. And Jaden Blue obviously had his hands full. If I'm not mistaken, Mike Simmons is a bit older than Jaden Blue. Jaden Blue is a young guy. I believe Jaden Blue only 19 years old as well. Jaden Blue tremendously talented, but Mike Simmons just had his number here. And Mike Simmons has a street ball background, guys. So don't sleep on Mike Simmons. That's why he be pulling out those moves. This kid was making a bit of a name for himself on the street ball scene before going to get that money overseas for Virtus. So shout out to that guy, Michael Simmons, really coming on and showing, man, he could lead a team. Showing he could really do some things and lead a team. Are you guys having any trouble, man? Is the connection messed up? Am I glitching or anything, guys? Let me know. Or let me know if we're good. Street baller Michael Simmons, he definitely has a bit of a background in street ball, so you cannot sleep on him. Shout out to my guy PV. Yes, sir. Overseas lit in the chat. They said I'm good, so I'm gonna keep it rocking. But shout out to Mike Simmons, man. Couldn't get it. CB Canarius couldn't get it done in this game. It was a good game. CB Canarius was scrappy and was trying, but Mike Simmons, man, Washington, and the rest of those guys, Ramsey, a couple of those guys, man, for Virtus, just battle hard, man, and they got it done. Virtus looked really, really good. And then for the final game of week 2. Day 4, final game of the week period, saw the SBA Select beat Anna Efes 95-78. Eddie Bowles, Eddie Franchise makes it 2 players of the game honors in a row as the Select runs away with a much-needed victory over Anna Efes. The Select are now 3-1 on the year, and although it hasn't been the smoothest road, have they been proven to be a legit powerhouse in OT1? Do you guys feel that the SBA Select has proven to be a legit powerhouse in OT1 thus far? 4 games out of 11 through the season. Has SBA Select shown you guys enough? Do y'all still think they are those guys? Or they on their way to being those guys? Or is the verdict still up? Are you still trying to figure them out? Let me know. Guys in the chat, let me know though, man. Has the SBA Select arrived in you guys' eyes already? Or do they still have some work to do? Let me know. We got the Drip God in the chat throwing shots at the Norway Nightmare saying, nah, the Sucks because they got Ash. But this was a big win, man. And the Fs, like I said, had some momentum riding in. And the Fs had nice momentum riding in coming into these games, man. They got an MVP candidate. They got a ton of talent. Mongu Bamba had a good game the other night, but SBA Select got it done, man. It was a fight early, and then the SBA Select really started to control it and, take off. But this was a good game, and shout out to Eddie Bowles with another good performance right there, just filling up the stat sheet, and Eddie B doing his thing, rocking out. That's 2 games in a row, play of the game for Eddie B, and he did some things with his tendencies, and I like it, man. I'm the GM of the SBA Select. I don't even want him changing it up, man. I might have to talk to coach and tell Eddie to keep his tendencies the same, because Eddie looked really good in this game. That's 2 play of the game honors with those tendencies. He might have to keep that going. I know there was some playbook changes, but Eddie, man, you might got to keep this rocking, man. I like what I'm seeing out there. Shout out to the Norway Nightmare, look good in this game as well. Shout out to my guy JJ, Dynamite JJ Johnson, looking good, putting it together as well, man. That whole team, Duke Spliff, man, Duke, really that second playmaker, that second general, the leader, the street ball legend, Duke, really getting it done and showing us why he's that veteran presence of the SBA Select, man. So gotta tell Eddie to chill, man. Gotta tell him chill. I don't want him messing it up. But Olin says every team will have a bad game. That speaks to the tough competition of the OT series, the Overseas Tour Series. I think the select team has been playing steady as a beat. So Ash says, coming for your Grayson. Norway Nightmare season is here. Now sit back and watch. Things is getting spicy in the live chat. Can I get a hashtag our league and hit that like button if you haven't already? The SBA community is here and lit. And y'all know, man, we're going to keep this action going, man. I'm working to get this content out for you guys. It's been fun, honestly. Like I said, I'm getting on key with the staff, so we're going to start getting it out more efficient, getting more creative things done. You see, I've been doing little team reports. The media team has been picking it up, getting things going. Best kept secret, SBPN. Also Mark and CB has been back at it doing their thing. Shout out to the whole SBA community, man. We really been doing our thing, but NFS not able to get it done. SBA Select took them out in this one. And yeah, man, this podcast, man, has made it midway through. Podcast made it midway through. We still got some topics to cover. And before we get into those topics real quick, we got conference standings. It's another topic. We got conference standings. We got week 2 power rankings. Okay. And then we got player of the week. And after we go over conference standings, week 2 power rankings, we're going to reveal the player of the week for week 2. And then we're going to do player stats. That's when we're going to go into each team. Player stats and team news will kind of be linked together. That's when we're going to go through each team and really look at the state of the team. We're going to look at their record one, and we're going to look at the statistics of each player, and we're going to chop it up about each player. Like, see what this user is doing over here, see what the generics is doing over here. We're going to look at the state of each team after week 2 here in the overseas tour. And remember, some of these teams play multiple games and multiple games in a week. So even though we at week 2, that don't mean it's game 2. You're going to see some teams play 4 games. Some teams play 3. Some teams only play 2 games. But we still going to rank them based on what we've seen thus far. So stick with us and keep rocking with us, man. The SBA podcast is lit. I am going to have some guests on here sometimes as well to go through some of these topics with. Maybe I could get some co-hosts the more we grow. But, we going to keep it going with Tom. With time, I'm gonna ask some guys, maybe if some staff members got some availability on a Monday or Sunday night, maybe we could get it going, man. So I'd love to have some players join me. I'd love to interview some players as well. I don't want to really oversaturate it with too many interviews, but we can do some interviews at times, especially after big player performances and things of that nature. But let's keep this thing rocking, man. Let's keep this thing rocking. Get Charleston White on here. They said get Charleston White. I love to have Charleston White on here. Y'all crazy. I would love the guys in the live chat, man. It's lit, but I love to have Charleston White on here talking. Yeah. He'll be like, yeah, man, yeah. I seen the guy Mongoose Bomber. He think he tough. He need to just be playing ball. That's why them streets is gonna get him every time. Yeah. I gotta get my guy Charleston White on here. I definitely pay Charleston White for a feature to cover the SBA with me. That'd be the littest podcast or the littest episode there was, man. But shout out to our Instagram too. If you haven't already, follow us on IG and spam us with some likes. Go like our content if you haven't already on our IG at SBA.2K, man. Make sure y'all getting in tune. Let me make sure there's nothing up on the Discord before I pull up the Discord. Before I pull up the Discord real quick. Okay, cool. It's nothing up because we got to get into these conference standings first, and then these power rankings, man. So we're gonna go with the conference standings first, and then the power rankings. So conference standings is what we're gonna cover first. We gonna get into these power rankings. Let's get into the conference standings right now. Conference standing, guys. Here they go. At number one, of course, for the Western European Conference is Olympia Milano. 4-0, Olympia Milano, number one for the Western European Conference, man. And we spoke about earlier, Olympia Milano just well-oiled machine. They've been in some tough games, but they've showed how resilient they are each and every time and came away with a W. So to be 4-0 with as much competition as we've seen in this overseas series is tough. So I got to tip my hat to the Milano guys once again at number one. Then we got the Roca team, Monaco, at 2-0, number one in the conference right now in the Eastern European Conference. They're 2-0. They didn't play in many games this week yet. I didn't want to penalize them for that. We know in week one they came away 2-0. So until they lose, I'm not going to have anybody knocking them off the helm, even though the SBA Select is right behind them at 3-1 right there. And SBA Select does have an extra win over them, but they did take a loss that Monaco doesn't have. So number ones right now, Milano and the Roca team. Let's see how Monaco and Milano can play the rest of this thing out. Both of them still undefeated right now. And it's going to be very interesting to see how that pans out, man. I like what I'm seeing from both teams. TJ King and that core over there of the Roca team is looking good too. So let's see if they could continue the consistency and show they could be as well-oiled of a machine as Milano. I don't know. Just from what I've seen, I don't know or think that the Roca team is better than Milano, just from my opinion. But we did see a little bit more Milano. So just to be fair to the Roca team, I'm not going to do them like that. I'm going to say let's see what happens. But I do still have Milano over the Roca team, if you ask me. But TJ King is a dog. Jamarcus Brown is nice. Martell Poole is a beast. And Blue Moon is nice as well. Blue Moon remind me of that Kennard Roden Duke Spliff mode. You know, that point forward mode that could just go out there and do it all. So shout out to, that guy, Blue Moon. Shout out to those guys on the Roca team at number one. And shout out to those Milano guys at number one too. But at number two in their conferences right now, we have the SBA Select at 3-1 and Partisan Nice at 2-1. Partisan Nice taking that tough loss by 1 point. Taking that tough loss by 1 point to Anna Ephes. And Anna Ephes is a tough team, so you can't be mad at Partisan Nice. They were literally one basket away from being 3-0 right now and really knocking on the door of Olympia Milano, but just not able to get it done. And they played against a tough team in Anna Ephes, so can't hang their hats. But then on the other side for the Select, man, the Select is really getting it together after losing a tough game earlier in the year. And the Select, man, getting it together this week, putting together some wins, and you gotta like what you're seeing from the SBA Select right now. Think that the few little adjustments that they made went a long way. They had Eddie Bowles do some tendencies and they had some playbook changes. And that shows, guys, the more that you pay attention to what your team is doing and implementing game plans and coming together as a team, the better you're doing. I'm telling you right now, Milano is sending in a team game plan every week. They have sent in a team game plan every week. So that's why, they're ahead of the curve. They working, they doing their thing. Some of them has changed tendencies. Some of them is put in game plans, and that's why they're winning. The Select, same thing. They got me at the GM, so I'm not going to play. But then as players, they're really doing their due diligence. They're looking up what they need to look up, doing their tendencies, making the necessary adjustments. And that's what's happening, man. So shout out to the Select, making an adjustment and going, putting together wins in this week and at 3-1 right now. That's big for the Select. Shout out to them guys at the Select. But shout out to Partisan Nice as well at number 2 in their conference. At number 3 in their conferences, we got CBC at 2-2, and we got Virtus at 2-1. So we'll get on CBC first. CBC at number 3 is cool. Very scrappy team. I could see them going up and I could see them going down if I'm being honest. But they're a tough team and it remains to be seen. They're very, very tough, scrappy team. And I think that they could put some things together to fight through and kind of, I'm not sure if they could top Milano, but as scrappy and tough as they are, they could put some wins together. And maybe if Partisan Nice falls off or has a little cold streak, they can definitely go on the uptrend. And I like what I see from CBC. They can compete night in, night out. And you really can't bet against them. And that's why they're even at 2-2 right now in this competitive scene. But it'll be very, very interesting to see, man, what's up. But Virtus exploding right now and really coming on the scene. And I really think catching fire. I think a lot of people starting to begin to have a little bit more belief in Virtus now after this week. Michael Simmons putting on, a show. They were able to string away a couple of wins. And at 2-1 at number 3 in the conference, Virtus really looking all right right now. Looking decent right now. So shout out to the guys at Virtus. Shout out to Washington, the generic. Shout out to Danny Ramsey, the generic. And also shout out to the user, Michael Simmons, really leading his team, leading the charge, doing what he needs to do, man, to keep Virtus in contention, especially in playoff contention to this point. I think the playoffs is only taking 8 of the 12 teams. So I'll figure out what I'm gonna do about the playoffs. We're not gonna really have any playing type of thing with overseas tour. I think I'm gonna just take maybe the top 8 teams and just do tournament style. So the check is still pending on that. We're gonna figure that out as we go. But definitely, man, want to stay within the top 8 teams. And Virtus, man, and CBC staying within that top 6 right now. Big shout out to them. Number 3 in their conferences right now. And then at number 4s right now, at the 4s, we got Alba Berlin at 1-1 and Anna Efes at 2-3. So Alba Berlin, man, picking up a big win against Anna Efes, if I'm not mistaken. I believe, that we covered that game earlier. Was that against Anna Efes? Let me check real quick. Yes, it was against Anna Efes, and that was a big win right there for those young guys. Russ Macy stepped up huge, and they even out at 1-1 and get that 4th spot in their conference, which could be the cutoff spot, which can have them being, like the final seed if we do only top 8 teams in the playoffs. So that could be big right there. That could prove to be big. I gotta still see what the playoffs is looking like just to be sure, like I said. So we still figuring that out. But if this was the cutoff right here, this is 2 very tough teams. And Anna F is really stringing it together. They got Mongu Bama back. So I think that is gonna help them go up and get a little bit of breathing room, a little bit more of breathing room from being at this 4th spot right here. But you never know. It's a lot of tough competition here in the overseas. But Berlin, I'm still interested to see where Berlin goes from here with those young guys, man. Christian Jackson and Christian Ross are shooters. And then you got Russ Macy, Sean Duncan, still trying to figure him out off the bench. Hasn't been getting a lot of minutes and hasn't really been producing like that. Want to see maybe he could develop. I don't know if Sean Duncan has been active neither, but It remains to be seen on him. But Alba Berlin as a team, man, them young guys, Christian Jackson and Christian Ross, alongside the generic Russ Macy, is looking good. And they're even at 1-1 right now, 4 in their conference. And I think that still remains to be seen. They only played 2 games and they're just evened out right now. At 5, we got Hopel, Tel Aviv, and we have FC Barcelona. And I don't think anybody expected to see Barcelona so so low in the conference rankings. But they have not really been putting it together, man, at 1 and 2. They had some tough nights and it's hurt them, man. Hopefully Tel Aviv has had tough nights as well, but they're not as seasoned as a team and as talented as a team as Barcelona. So it's a bit more eye-popping to see Barcelona struggle like this. Hopefully Tel Aviv is more so on the uptrend, catching a win this week. Young guys developing, and gelling together, getting used to playing with each other. But Barcelona is taking a step back as the defending champions right now. Not looking too good this week. Still could turn it around. It's very early, only 3 of 11 games. But if we're going off week 2, Barcelona's not getting it done right now. And I'm just being honest, man. They're not getting it done. But shout out to all the guys in the chat still rocking with us. 10 viewers live. Hit that like button if you haven't already. This is the Simulation Basketball Association. And wrapping up these conference standings right now. 0-2 Madrid, dead last in their conference, and controversy coming out. So the team chemistry is obviously low. Really interested to see what the organization is going to do moving forward, man. These are pro organizations. So even though I'm still commissioning the overseas tour, these pro organizations got to do what they got to do to get their things rolling in the proper manner. And it's not looking good right now for Madrid, but hopefully they could turn it around, man. Hopefully they could turn it around and get something going in their favor. But right now, it is just not looking good for Real Madrid, if I'm being honest. And I don't know, man. Like, yeah, hopefully they could get it together, man. But I'm not liking what I'm seeing from them right now. And yeah, would like to see them just try to string it together. They got some decent users, man. Maybe they got to find the game plan and find the tendencies to make it work together. Suave Cortez, Tyrese McGrady, and Olin all show tremendous potential, but just not getting it done as an organization right now or as a team. It's still very early, though. Only 2 games in. Who knows? Maybe they turn it around, go on a streak, and I sound dumb right now by the end of the season. But right now, it's not looking good for them. And FC Bayern, a young team, cannot get a win this week. 0-4. But, man, they still got some hope. These young guys are trying. Tyrone Atkins, I don't know what's his temperament. Maybe I got to get an interview with Tyrone Atkins, the generic, to figure out what's his temperament, being one of the most talented forwards in the league. One, putting up good numbers, having good young talented guys around him, but not being able to see it amount to success right now. Want to really ask him, is it due to the maturity? And stay tuned for that storyline, man. I'm gonna get an interview with Tyrone Atkins, the generic, man, because this dude has been putting up numbers. We're gonna go over those players and stuff later, like I said. But Tyrone Atkins, man, talented guy. I want to know what's his temperament with FC Bayern at 0-4. I know the young guys don't really mind. They're getting their shots up. They're young. They're developing. But who knows? Maybe Timmy Turner and NJ Nabaya, maybe I could get them up for an interview as well to see how they feel, because maybe I think they don't care because they're putting up shots and getting their numbers, but maybe these guys are diehard competitors that really, really want to win and don't care about their players' success. And maybe they give us a whole different spill on how they feel as a player. But I really love the overseas tour, what I'm seeing right now. As far as the conferences, give me a conference breakdown, everybody watching in the chat. Drop in the comments who you guys see really winning each conference and how y'all see the conference lining up. What's y'all top threes of each of these conferences? You don't got to drop the whole 6, but drop y'all top threes of each conference if y'all had to choose a top 3. So for me right now, if I had to choose a top 3 for the Western Conference, which is the conference on the left, I got to go with Milano. Just based off what I seen early, I would have to go with the top 3 teams. I'm going with Milano, I'm going with Partizan Nice, and I'm going with CB Canarias. Those teams that showed me the most. They played 4 games. They played the most games outside of Tel Aviv that played the most. That played 4 as well. But out of all the teams in the Western European Conference, definitely gotta go with and I think I'm gonna call it the International Conference. I don't know. No, yeah, I like European Conference. But anyway, yeah, man. So looking at that, man, on the Western side of things, I'm definitely going with Milano, Partizan Nice, and CB Canarias. And then on the Eastern side of things, I would have to go with right now. Ooh, that's tough on the East. The East could go any way. I'm gonna take my top 3 being. I'm gonna change out Virtus and put Anna Ephes. I'm gonna have the Roca team, I'm gonna have the Select, and I'm gonna have Anna Ephes. Even though Virtus has showed me a bit, and Mike Simmons has been doing it and doing a good job at getting his team some wins. I think by the time, just from right now, my prediction is that by season's end, Anna Ephes would have had a better season and won and like edge Virtus for that top 3 spot in the Eastern side of things. What do you guys think? I'm getting these guys. So PV says Milano, CBC, and Partizan Nice. Same thing for Olin, Milano, CBC. Oh, but he says Real. He says Real. Of course, that's his team. And then on the other side, Olin says Select, Anadulo, and Virtus. Oh, that's interesting. He didn't even have Monaco in there, even though they're undefeated. So that's interesting. Milano, PV for the other side says Monaco, SBA Select, Anadulo, FS. Slicko says I actually agree with Olin on that one, and that's interesting. That's very interesting, man. That's interesting. But like I said, I got Anna Ephes. I have to put Anna Ephes over Virtus. Everybody else has interesting takes as well. And that'll be it for the conference standings coverage, guys. Shout out to my guy Deshaun Evans popping out in the chat. Hour into the podcast. It's been lit. Welcome to the pod, DJ Evans. Small forward, really positionless guy out of North Carolina. Still feel like he has a lot to prove, as a lot of people say, man. He was a star player, but North Carolina wasn't a winning team in the college series. So shout out to my guy Evans, man. Let's see if he can kill that narrative that he's a top talent, but teams can't win with him. Let's see. He's declared for the draft. Let's see how he fares, man. We used to call him the baby goat in the college series. But moving on now, let's get into the power rankings, guys. Power rankings. Let's go. Let's see who's on top of the power. Let's see how the power rankings is shaking. Shout out to Baba TV, aka Jeremiah Killings, the point guard of FC Barcelona. The mayor's in the building. Yes, the SBA community is lit. 14 viewers live. Can I get a hashtag our league from everybody in the chat and hit that like button if you haven't already? An hour in, this podcast is turned up. Kennard rolling with the fire. Yes, sir. Right on time, my brother. Right on time. But we're about to get into these power rankings, and let's see who's at the top of the power rankings, guys. Who do we have at the power rankings? At the top of the power rankings for week 2. Is it Milano once again? They're 4-0. And let's see who moved. And at the power rankings, there it goes, guys. Olympia Milano, number 1. Olympia Milano, number 1. No surprise. Last week, Olympia Milano was number 3. And as you can see, they're on the uptrend, at 4-0. Olympia Milano got it done our leagues is pouring in. This is what I love to see. Shout out to my community, man, putting a smile on my face. You guys make all the work worthwhile, man. You don't know how long I've been a creative, man. Some of you guys know, some of these guys been in leagues with me for a long time now. Some of these guys are just my friends, from just, different communities, online communities, music, just life in general. Some of these guys I actually knew in real life for a long time as well. But definitely, man, seeing all of my creativity coming to this and building this league with y'all has been fun to watch, man. And let's just keep it going. Podcast lit. Everybody dropping their hour leagues. This is what we do it for, man. This is what we do it for. If you haven't already, man, get in tune with the SBA community. Check out our live chat. Don't be shy. The community is welcoming, and we turn up at the same time. Very competitive, very fun. We have a Discord. If you want to get in tune with us, drop a comment and let us know you want to get in the Discord, or follow us on Instagram and reach us there at SBA.2K. But number one, Olympia Milano. Number two, Monaco. Monaco stayed where they were at. They didn't play this week. They stayed at 2-0, so we kept them number 2 on the power rankings. The SBA Select at number 3 on these power rankings. They jumped up from 7, so they're on the uptrend at 3-1. And of course, these power rankings are based off my opinion. You guys can have power rankings as well. But me as a commissioner, I'm doing power rankings every week for the overseas tour, and this is what I feel. Maybe you guys feel something different. I want to see you guys' feedback as well. But if you disagree, it's no problem. It's all love. You know how we rocking here in the SBA. This is hashtag our league once again. But the Select jumping up from last week at number 7. They're 3-1. That's a big time jump for the Select. They're number 3 now with 7 last week, and they're 3-1. Keep it on the up and up. Let's go Select. So following the Select at number 4, we got Partisan Nice. They were number 1 last week. They're number 4 this week. They are on a downtrend as they lost a game this week. They are 2-1. Still good. Still kept them at 4 because they're still very talented. And they lost that game by 1 point. So they're really 1 game away from this thing being a lot different and maybe still being a top 3 team, top 2 team if they were 3-0. Maybe even 1-0. I mean, still maybe even number 1 still, depending on how I was feeling. But kept them at number 4, dropped them to number 4, and got to put the downtrend as they lost this week, going from number 1 to number 4. At number 5, we got Virtus taking a big jump, man. Virtus was number 9 last week, and now they're in the middle at number 5 here in the power rankings, 2-1. They caught 2 big wins this week, and you gotta love the effort, man. You gotta love the effort. Shout out to my guy PV. Say he happy he found the SBA. And that's what it's about, man. It's about you guys. This is our league. Happy you guys enjoy this. This is what I do it for. I do it for you guys. So let's keep this thing going. Let's stay active and let's keep it rolling, man. Virtus, yeah, number 5. And then Canarius coming in at number 6. CB Canarius. They were number 4 last week, so they are on a downslide as they lost this week. Tough losses. They're still a tough team, still a scrappy team, and I still think they're gonna give teams trouble, and I still think they're potentially a playoff team, but just had some unfortunate runs this week, and in result they dropped from number 4 to number 6. And yeah, let's keep up the effort. Shout out to Ariel Severio. Got his our league comment up here right now. But yeah, man, they fell just a bit, but they still have potential to work their way up. I think CB Canarius definitely has potential to work their way up, but we're working, man. We definitely working. Number 7, Anna Ephes, right behind CB Canarius on the list. They were number 5 last week, so they are on the downslide as well at 2-3. And Anna Ephes, pardon me, about to say Canarius there, but Anna Ephes is still a very good team, even though they're 2-3 right now, below 500. They're still a team that can beat anybody. They have the MVP the top MVP candidate, and Fenton on their team right now. And it's still like I said, dogs, man. They're not gonna come in and get no easy win versus Anna Ephes. So don't sleep on this power ranking at number 7. And then remember, the top 8 teams most likely out of 12 will make the playoffs. So if you're going off this list right now, this is what I see as the top 8 teams. The top 8 teams that will make the playoffs. If we just going off big week 2 power rankings, and then the first 2 teams out is the 9 and 10. But following Anna Ephes at number 7, we got FC Barcelona at number 8. Number 8, FC Barcelona. They dropped. They were number 6. They dropped 2 slots. 1 and 2. They took a tough loss this week. And I know the mayor is in the chat. I know he is not happy at what is going on in Barcelona. He is a rookie. And I know he was excited to come into the defending championship winners team. But I know he's not happy. I don't know what's going on in the locker room. Maybe I can interview him one day and he could give us some insight on what's going on or what the state of the team. Maybe he's cool disclosing that information, maybe not. But I'm just interested to see what's the temperament. They won back-to-back championships, so I can imagine the organization is definitely fatigued as they've been running the overseas scene. However, from this season standpoint, in the first 3 games, I'm going to be honest and say that FC Barcelona has been a bit disappointing. There's still a lot of season left. They still got an opportunity to turn things around, but it has been disappointing thus far from FC Barcelona. I thought that they would fare a lot better. They haven't, but it is what it is. And they come in at number 8. So I still would have them, making the playoffs here in this overseas tour, but they will be the last seed. And they will be playing Olympia number 1 if we were just going over these power rankings. And as of what we see right now, I don't think that would have been a good matchup for them. He hasn't hit their stride yet at all. Shout out to Shorty, aka Tyon Nickerson, point guard of Milano, in the building. Just entered the chat. Shout out to my guy Tyon Nickerson. Man, then number 9, the first team out, but did make it to the power rankings out of the 12 teams, 9 of 12. We got Alba Berlin. They were number 10 last week, so they're on an uptrend, just jumping at one spot, and they're at 1-1, man, 1-1. And like I said, this is a power ranking, so even though they do have a better record than Barcelona, it's still just based off what I think, who I think talent-wise and organization-wise. And then even though Barcelona hasn't hit their stride yet, I don't see them missing the playoffs with the talent that they have over a Berlin team who's still very young, still figuring it out. Yes, they're 1-1, got a good win, but I do think that they're going to hit some adversity during the season at some point because they got a lot of young talent. They're really, only played 2 games, but they were competing off the back of young talent. And that could get inconsistent at times. But we'll see how it fares for Alba Berlin, who was at number 10 last week, but came in at number 9 on the power rankings this week. Shout out to Alba Berlin, man. And at number 10, we got Hopel Tel Aviv. Yes, I put them number 10 first 2 teams out because I do like the progress that I'm seeing from this Hopel Tel Aviv team. I think they're putting it together. Some of their users working on their tendencies. Wendell Fields playing good. And I just like what I see from Hopel Tel Aviv. So shout out to them guys making the top 10 power rankings, even though number 10 don't get you a playoff spot. Maybe they could build off of this momentum, build off of some of this press hype, man, and work their way up. Use this as motivation. They were unranked, as you can see, last week, and now they got it done this week. So shout out to those guys, man, of Hopel Tel Aviv in the building. And then next up, man, we did the power rankings now. What do you guys think about the power rankings? Shout out to Christian Ross in the building. Christian Cross. Oh, C. Ross. I'm wilding. Christian Ross. Yeah. Wilding. I always get mixed up with that. Shout out to C. Ross in the building as well. Now we could get into what's next. Let me see what's next. Next up is okay. Yes, sir. Next up, guys, is that player of the week. Who do you guys think was player of the week this week? Let me know. Who y'all think was player of the week this week? If y'all had a guess of who was player of the week this week, who would it be? SBA community, talk to me. Who would y'all think would be player of the week based off what we've seen unfold thus far in week 2? If you paid attention to week 2, if you caught up with some of the games, who was player of the week? Tyon. Okay, that's not bad. It's not a bad guess right there. I'm not gonna reveal it yet, but that's not bad. I'm looking down at these player of the week numbers because Tyon definitely performed this week. This week through 3 games, Tyon averaged 19 points, 19.33 points, 6 rebounds, and 9.33 assists. So Tyon, that was his numbers for the week. That's interesting right there. Kennard Roden says Fenton. Eric Ashley says Eddie franchise. And I'm not going to hold y'all up for too long. I did want to see what you guys would say about who was player of the week. He got wins and he played efficient. So they said Tyon because he got wins and played efficient. But let's see who walked away with this player of the week, guys. Let me get the drum roll, please, in the chat real quick. Y'all know I do the little ghetto drum roll. We gonna see who got that player of the week, man. See who came away with that player of the week. One second, guys. About to reveal that player of the week. Oh, yeah, they got the drum roll in the chat. Shout out to my guys, man. They really got the drum roll in the chat. And the player of the week is none other than Zanu Fenton for the second week in a row. 2 times player of the week. Zanu Fenton through 3 games. It may be a little far out for you guys. But through 3 games, man, Zanu Fenton, 30 points per game, 5.6 assists per game, 8 rebounds per game, and 36% from the field, man. Gotta go with Zanu Fenton when he's putting up numbers like that. Yes, that's 2 times in a row player of the week for Zanu Fenton, but he's putting up the numbers, man. He's doing it. If I'm being honest, yes, Anna Ephes is struggling a bit, and yes, wins factor in a bit, but you just got to give it to the player of the week. And if I'm being honest, man, he did it for the second week in a row. Got it done. Big shout out to Zanu Fenton. Definitely candidate number 1 for player of the week, right? I mean, for player of the year right now, MVP of the overseas tour. And big shout out to Zanu Fenton, man. Just got to give my guy his flowers. He really exploded onto the scene. Wasn't too much hype about him. Didn't play in a rec or anything. Came onto the scene, just put in a work, man, with his home base team. Signed with Anna Ephes for the first season this year, and he has became a star. Anna Ephes got him on a pretty good cheap deal too. So they're getting a great player this season for a bargain, but I'm pretty sure he's gonna go cash out in the SBA draft after this, and it's well deserved as this kid really has bursted on to the SBA scene overseas, man. Big shout out to Zanu Fenton, man. And let me see what else we got on the list after the player of the week. After the player of the week, that's when I was gonna go into the file and show you guys some stats. And I'll let you guys choose because we're not gonna go over each team, obviously, because that will take a lot of time. But whose stats do y'all want to go over? I'll get in the Discord, share the stats file. Actually, I don't gotta do that. Actually, I could just open up stats. Yeah, so you guys let me know what teams do y'all want to highlight in the overseas tour during this podcast and talk about. What teams are y'all interested to see? Interested to see what the players got and who's who and what's what over there. Let me know, guys. We're going to get that loaded up for y'all. Let me know, guys. so I could get those stats loaded up for y'all. Shout out to my guy Olin, keeping up with the stats so we could do things like this. Olympia, everybody from Olympia is saying Milano. Shout out to my guy Thaddeus Hill in the building. Sultan LSCG. Thaddeus Hill is a high school athlete in our high school series, man. Definitely want to stay tuned because after I go through these teams, I am going to chop it up about the high school combine, man. The high school top 100 combine coming you guys' way soon. And guys is saying Milano. Guys want to look at the stats of Olympia Milano, so we'll get. I just showed a graphic with the season stats of Olympia Milano. You guys still want to go over the stats for Olympia Milano again? We literally just did that, guys. Now we got y'all gotta give me another team. We did Milano on the we did Milano already because of the graphic. I covered all of their user stats, so we gotta go with somebody else, guys. Just give me another team, guys. My guy JJ, shout out to my guy JJ, Jason Ross in the building, JJ Dynamite Johnson in the building, a user shooting guard for the SBA Select. But give me another team, guys. SBA Select. All right, everybody's saying SBA Select now. Shout out to my guy JJ in the chat, man. JJC Ross and Tyon in the chat back to back. Shout out to those guys, man. Shout out to those guys. Let me share this tab right here. Get to the SBA Select, guys. There we go. You guys can see everything, right? Let me make sure you guys can see everything properly. As long as you guys can see everything properly, we're going to go through this from the top. From the top of the top, we got Ash Erickson. My guy Ash is not showing up, but we got Ash Erickson, 10.75 points per game, 9.25 rebounds per game, 1 assist per game, 0.5 steal, 0.25 blocks. Oh, no, this might be Madsen. Yes, this is Madsen. Pardon me, this is Madsen. No, this is not Madsen. This is Ash. Okay. Okay, this is Ash. 0.25 blocks, 0.75 turnovers, 58% from the field, and 43% from the free throw. So if it's something from Ash looking into this deep dive that I definitely want to see him work on, I'm not tripping on the block numbers because if you watch the game, he's definitely a defensive presence on the inside. So I'm not tripping on the block numbers. There's nothing wrong with those numbers as far as the blocks go. I've been happy, very, very happy with Ash's performance offensively and defensively. So if I had to give Ash a grade right now as far as how he's playing, I think I gotta give him a B plus. Just because I think it's still so much potential to do more. Like I could see him averaging a double-double. He's nearing that double-double. So I give him the B plus only because I see double-double being more. I see him. He's also capable of scoring more. Not that he's needed to because the team is 3-1 and whatever game plan has been working. But he's very efficient at 58% from the field. Can score more and get up to that 15 and 10 mark. Being picky, if I'm being picky, he could get the blocks up. Definitely could get the free throws up, even though he hasn't attempted that many free throws. I think that free throw mark is actually wrong because I think that DNA is counting as a 0 and making it 43. Or is that right? Let me see. No, matter of fact, that might be right. Yeah, that might be right, actually. That might be right. Let me see. 5 for 9. 5 for 9 is 43%. No. 5 for 9 is higher than 43%. So yeah. So yeah, he would be about somewhere around the 50 something mark, high 50s for free throw shooting. And if I'm nitpicking, yeah, I want to see more of that. I want to see something better right there for Ash. If I'm being yeah. So if I'm nitpicking, yeah, I want to see a little more from Ash, but I give him a B plus, doing what he needs for his team, still putting up a high energy effort. If you watch these games, he's all over the place, playing great defense. Uh um Getting rebounds, physical on the boards, and had a big 17-point rebound game. But we also got a lot of players on the select that's good rebounders. So I don't take even the rebounding numbers. I think 9 is low for a guy like Ash, only because of the surrounding cast. But this guy could easily go out and get you 15 rebounds a game. And moving on, shout out to Ash. I give him the B plus, like I said. Duke Spliff. I think I could cover 3 teams like this. Duke Spliff. So let me know the next team y'all want to see after the SBA select. Duke Spliff averaging 14.5 points per game, 9 rebounds, 3.5 assists per game, 1.25 steals a game, 0.75 blocks a game, point 0.5 turnovers a game, 47% from the field, and 27% from the three-point line, 69% from the free throw line. And this is a great effort from Duke as well. Team is 3-1, doing a tremendous job. Really that second playmaker, like I said. If I'm nitpicking, definitely could see him being a 20-point scorer, adding those 6 points to the added 6 points, but he's around a lot of talent and he's a playmaker as well. So I can't expect him to just go out there chucking shots. He's very efficient at 47%. That's tremendously efficient. Maybe he could work on being a little bit more consistent at the 3-point line. There's been a couple of games where we've seen him not shoot it that well, but then we've seen a couple games where he can knock down a couple. So not worried about him at the 3-point line, but definitely would love to see him improve. I think I would give Duke Spliff right now a B plus as well. So far in the season at 3-1, I'll give him a B plus looking at these numbers. But these are great numbers to have from your small forward on a talented 3-1 team. Definitely the veteran presence on the team keeps their tempo right. And yeah, I love what I'm seeing from Duke Spliff as well. So I'm gonna look in the comments later just to make sure, just to see what other teams y'all wanted me to look at. I see Canarius, Monaco, some people saying NFS, but I think I seen Canarius twice. It was actually Canarius twice by Ash, but Patrick said it too. So Canarius starting to lead. So I'll do Canarius after this game as well. Next user up, Eddie Bowles, averaging 17.75 points per game, 3.5 rebounds per game, 5.5 assists per game, 0.75 steals per game, zero point 0.5 blocks, 2.25 turnovers, 49% from the field, and 48% from the three-point line. Eddie Bowles, looking at those numbers, is playing terrific. That's what you want from your franchise point guard. That's what you want from the leader at the helm right there. Those numbers are super consistent and those numbers are just super consistent and super efficient. Outside of the free throws, I want to see him work on that. It's higher than 55 because once again the DNA is counting as a 0. But like what I'm seeing from Eddie, man. Eddie is definitely getting the job done, consistent as they come. Do you see how efficient he's playing? 48% from the 3 line in 4 games and 48% and 49% from the field. So that's beautiful right there from Eddie Bowles, veteran point guard. He's a bit older than a few of the guards here, and is definitely showing. Love the experience, love the poise I've seen from him, and he's definitely just been getting the job done for the SBA Select. Uh, Big shout out to Eddie Bowles, man, getting it done. The numbers look good. The numbers look good. Not super flashy, but at a pro level, this is very consistent and very efficient, man. So gotta love what you're seeing from Eddie B, man. And I like what I'm seeing. They definitely prioritizing the team's success right now over their own success, because these guys are surrounded with talent and just full of talent. So next up, man, if Eddie Bowles had to get a grade, I'm giving him an A, because playing that efficient at the point guard, you got your team 3-1. What else could you ask? Superstar like stats. Yes, crazy numbers, averaging over 20 with 10 assists would have been the A plus, but I give him a clean A. Has the team at 3-1 right now, doing a good job. The temperament in the locker room is good, can't complain, and that's why I got to give Eddie right now. He gets an A grade. So Ash Duke get a B plus. Eddie B gets the A grade, and then Jason Johnson averaging 29.25 minutes a game, 14 points per game, 3.5 rebounds, 4.75 assists per game, no steals, no blocks, no turnovers, 32% from the field, and 23% from the three-point line. The young Jason Dynamite Johnson, man. The young bull definitely showing he has a ton of potential. And I think if you put him on a team with less talent, he can give you more numbers. Yes, he can average more points and be a one guy, but I'm not sure how many wins that would amount to. I love what I've been seeing from him, especially in this last week, really finding his flow, being a little bit more consistent. As you can see, his field goal percentage has went up each game. 3-point percentage still something to work on, but he's a young guy, rookie playing in a pro environment, and I think the young guy out of the Philippines is gonna be good. 6'6" guard, could grow into that body very well. Only 19 years old, but could grow into that body well at a pro level. And shout out to JJ Johnson, man. Definitely doing good, man. And for him to be putting up these numbers right now and he's not shooting the most efficient, I would have to give the young JJ a B. I'll give JJ a flat B, because we're 3-1 right now and he's still getting enough of the job done, still hitting the shots that we need him to. He's not shooting us out of games, but still would like him to be a little bit more efficient. But I like what I'm seeing from the young Jason Dynamite Johnson, man. Big shout out to JJ, my guy JJ in the building. He pulled up to the chat. But next up, oh, we went over the users. I said I'd give him a B. Then we got Lance Madsen, the starting center, 9.5 points a game, 10.25 rebounds a game, no assists, 0.75 assists, 0 steals, 1 block a game, no turnovers, 61% from the field, and 17% from the three-point line. Actually a little bit higher. He only shooting 1 for 6 from the three-point line. So definitely a little bit higher, but it's still not that good. But he's not shooting them at a high rate. He's capable of shooting them. He hit one, but he won't be shooting a ton of them. Just, taking them when he's open in the flow of the game, because he's shown the ability to make them. Madsen, 9 points, 10 rebounds. Him and Ash really doing a good job of playing off of each other well. And if I had to give Madsen a grade, I would give Madsen a B as well. Madsen is capable of doing a lot more if he had less around him as well. He's another one of those guys who would easily be averaging maybe 15 and 15 had he been on another team. But I think because he's on a select, he has to take a step back with all the talent around him. But Madsen still is playing very good, and the team is winning, man. So I'm just glad that all of these talented guys do a good job of, working well off of each other. He's averaging 26 minutes a game, so he's still getting decent minutes. And I'll just quickly go through the averages of the rest of these guys off the bench. I won't do anything too deep. Sheldon Woods averages 6 points, 2 rebounds, no assists, no steals, no blocks, 52% from the field, and 55% from the three-point line. So Sheldon Woods looking like he should get a few more minutes, man. And I think I am going to implement a little bit more minutes for Sheldon Woods. After looking at these numbers going into the next week, we give him a little bit more time. 15.75 minutes out of a 40-minute game. We could kind of get him maybe at the half the game mark. He's definitely a talented guy, but we know the select is full of talent and they've been winning. So just really sticking to a tight rotation right now. Skip Day, another good guy off the bench, 11 minutes per game, 3 points, 5 rebounds, 75% from the field, very efficient. And the bench guys really efficient for the SBA Select, as I'm seeing here. They're making the most of the time that they're getting, and that's helping the SBA Select a ton. 5 points in 10 and 12 minutes for D'Angelo Fox. 5 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 0 steals, 0 blocks, 0 turnovers, 23% from the field, and then 27% from the three-point line. So Fox, definitely want to see him be a little bit more efficient, but it's a ton of talent on the team, and this guy's very young, but this guy can ball. So I think this is going to be a project for the SBA Select to really see how this guy progresses throughout his career and see how he can unfold. I think he's a guy that maybe could take his chances at an SBA level, but I think he's going to be a guy that's going to stay home, get his money in the SBA Select, and develop here on the SBA Select. So shout out to my guy, D'Angelo Fox. But let me get into the next team so I can really cover users. I don't want to stick to covering a lot of these generic, all these generic guys for no reason during the podcast. Let me get through some users. So what's the next team that you guys want to see? Appreciate you, my guy Ramos, of course, the partnered soccer sim league that we're partnered with. Commissioner Ramos in the building. Appreciate you for tuning in, my guys. Showing the SBA love. Always showing the SBA love. So who else do you guys want to see? I see a lot of Canarius. So we'll go over Canarius because I did see a lot of Canarius. So we will go to CB Canarius. And starting off with CB Canarius, none other than the captain himself, Ariel, the Cookie Monster Silverio. At 6'6", 212 pounds, Ariel Silverio is averaging 23 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, 4 assists per game, 2.25 steals per game, 2.75 turnovers per game. He's shooting 37% from the field and 30% from the three-point line. And I think those are pretty good, efficient, consistent numbers for Ariel Silverio. His productivity is very high. He's doing a lot. Stat sheet stuff at 23.6 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2.25 steals. He's definitely a two-way player, high energy guy, and just really leading the charge for this Canarius team. Love what I see from Ariel Silverio so far in this season. And really just playing well, man. Really just playing well, really earning his keep. Came onto the scene and just playing as effective as he can be. And I like what I'm seeing. A great leader, man. Great content. Great league first guy here for the SBA community. He's a Patreon guy. So big shout out to my guy, Ariel Silverio. And if I had to give him a grade so far, his team is 2-2, and he's been putting on this performance. I'll give my guy Ariel Silverio an A. Just for the two-way ability and what he's been able to do. Can't put it on him for CB Canarius. I mean, they're even at 500, and they're decent right now. So, and I think he's leading the charge pretty well with these young guys and these users. So I'll give him an A. The production is there on both sides of the ball. So got to give him an A. 23.6 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and then shooting efficient at 37% from the field and 30 from the three-point line. You know, that's definitely a solid base, a solid foundation. So got to give Ariel Silverio an A, if I'm being honest, for my users of Canarius. OJ, the Juice Man, coming up next. 15.5 points per game, 4.5 rebounds a game, 3.5 assists a game, 0.7 steals, 0.25 blocks, 1.25 turnovers a game, 37% from the field, 40% from the three-point line. And my guy, OJ Alberger, a.k.a. the Juice Man, really, really getting it done. I've been loving the productivity from him, 24 minutes a game. So 24 minutes out of 40 minutes. And his production is good, man. He leads the league in 4-point plays. He is Mr. 4-point play of the SBA, man. This kid is Mr. 4-point play of the SBA. He has about 4... You going by mama? He has about 4-point plays on the season already, and his team only played 4 games. So he's averaging about 1 a game, And the kid has just been locked in doing his thing. So big shout out to OJ, the juice man. I've been liking what I'm seeing from him. And Canary is still in a good spot at 2-2, 500 right now through all the competition to make something happen. I think they're going to be a middle of the pack team that's going to make the playoffs. And then it's going to be very interesting because they're a team that can snag you in the playoffs and really snip you, man. And gonna want to watch out for them. Jaden Blue, the next user for CB Canary, is averaging 16.75 points per game, 4.25 rebounds, 4.5 assists for the starting point guard of CB Canary, 0.7 steals, 0.2 blocks, zero point 0.5 turnovers, 29% from shooting 29% from the field right now, and 28% from the 3-point line. The game that the kid was 0 for 12 really hurt his field goal percentage. Before then, he was shooting decent. Before then, he was definitely shooting decent. That 0 for 7 3-point. That 0 from 7 from the 3-point line night and that 0 for 12 from the field night really killed him, man, and hurt the efficiency. But if I had to give Juice a grade, I would give Juice a B plus. And then Jaden Blue, looking at the stats here, I would give Jaden Blue a B. I would give Jaden Blue a B because he's still producing good numbers, like still producing very good numbers for a young guy, 19 years old, at a pro level, showing you he's good. But I want to see him be slightly more efficient. Just slightly more efficient, and I want to see the playmaking numbers go up. Not bad at 4.5, and he has other guards who need the ball on his team. So I'm not mad, but I just want to see them feed through him a little more. I want to see him more of a playmaker. He's looking like more of a shooter first, playmaker second, and that's not bad. But I think he's really going to grow into his game. Still remains to be seen for this young kid, Jaden Blue, but I think he's going to be a very good talent moving forward in the SBA. Shout out to my guy, Zanny, in the chat, checking in. Zanu Fenton in the building. Two-time player of the week. You missed it earlier. But yeah, man, you're the two-time player of the week and number one right now for the MVP talks. Next week's podcast will have the top 5 guys for the MVP candidates. I guess we're getting later in the season, so we can start talking about MVP guys and start speculating who is the nominees for awards. They didn't want to start talking about those things too early, but we could definitely get into some of that talk next week, as some teams will be past the midway mark in games, and most teams would just be hitting that midway mark. So yeah, man, shout out to Jaden Blue. Like I said, I'll give him a B just because I think he could be more efficient and I think he could produce more. Like he's still producing at a pretty high level for the users, but I do think that he could produce more and be more efficient. So shout out to Jaden Blue, shout out to CB Canarius, and one more team, guys. I'll go over one more team before we get ready to close out this podcast. Who's the team that y'all want me to go over? And while y'all comment that team, I'll go over some of these CPU guys. Tom Ellis Jr., he's been a starter on and on for the CBC team, averaging 20 minutes a game. The minutes has been sporadic for him, averaging 7 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, no steals, no blocks, 66% from the field, tremendously efficient, and then 54% from the 3-point line. So Tom Ellis Jr. really earning his keep. He's shooting it at a high level, and he's gonna have to get some more minutes, man. After looking at this, 25 minutes per game. He could do a little bit more than that. Maybe I see the games where he's been on and off with the minutes, 12 minutes, 30 minutes, 14 minutes, 25. But he's played good with minutes. He's played good with low minutes. Very efficient. And shout out to Tom Ellis Jr., the generic, man. Devin Chambers, another guy who's been playing good when he got the minutes. But as his minutes been diminishing, really been hurting his team and his effort. 7 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 0.25 steals, half a block, 39% from the field, 38% from the 3-point line. And Devin Chambers is still a very high energy guy, one of the guys that you would definitely want to have off the bench. And just not really getting as many minutes as he maybe should right now, but he's definitely playing. And with CBC being 2-2 right now, having to make some adjustments, I'm pretty sure that they'll be getting guys like Chambers and Ellis a little bit more minutes to take advantage of their production. But Tyrone Webster, starter for CBC, the center, very good generic, man. 8.5 points, 14.75 rebounds, 1.5 assists, 1.5 steals, 2.25 blocks a game, 58% from the field, and only attempted 1 3 but didn't make it. So 0% from the field, and then 93% from the free throw line. He has attempted quite a bit free throws. So shout out to Tyrone Webster, man. This generic right here is showing some teams they better keep an eye on him, averaging 8.5 points and 14.75 rebounds. And I think that he maybe would be scoring more if they didn't have, those user guards taking up, a lot of the shots. So, keep an eye on Tyrone Webster. As you can see, these rebounding numbers been looking good. 14, 17, 19, and then 9. That's very good numbers. And then the field goal percentages as well been looking decent. Last 2 games, not too much, but he doesn't take a lot of shots. So keep an eye on Tyrone Webster, man. Definitely keep an eye on Tyrone Webster. And then Alexander Payton is another guy to keep an eye on. He's one of those guys that really gets it done during the game. The stats are not going to tell a story, much like a Tom Ellis as well. But I see some guys saying Anna Ephes. Who else commented? Nobody else commented any other teams. But we definitely can start talking about all-star candidates as well next week. Next week will be a perfect time to start talking about all-star candidates with the with it being the middle week before the all-star week. We going into week 3 in the week of all-star break, I believe is week 6. So next week's podcast will be perfect time to start getting those all-star things in. And guys, up your play this week because as you know, we're gonna be looking at them averages, and I might get a little committee to look over the all-star stuff with me. So shout out to all the guys in the chat. I may take a vote from everybody to figure out the all-stars and then use that with my own expertise because I know I watch every game and I always want the integrity, to be intact. So I will ask everybody, do a poll, asking everybody to submit who they think should be starters out of both conferences for the all-star teams. And then I will go back and look at the list that each of you guys give me and put my own knowledge and come up with a list. So we'll do 10 starters. We'll do 10 players that you guys submit, and then 10 of each conference, and that's how we'll do all-stars. But also give me one more team to look over, guys. One more team that you want me to dive into with the stats. And can I get a hashtag OT1 and hit that like button if you haven't already in the chat. Podcast been going for almost 2 hours, and we made it through exactly what I wanted to make it through in time. This is the last segment. I am going to talk about high school briefly. I hit on it earlier, but I am going to hit on it again in closing. But give me one more team to look over before we get out of here. And before I talk about this high school tourney. I'm looking in the chat, guys. I'm looking in the chat just trying to see who guys want to see stats on. I see Real Madrid, CBC. I'm not CBC, Real Madrid. I see Berlin. I see Partizan. I see 2 for Partizan. I see 4 for Partizan because guys are putting the arrows up. So we're going to jump into Partizan Nice. Guys wants to see what these Partizan guys are averaging because they know they got them guys. So Daniel Glover, starter for Partizan Nice, small forward, averaging 11.3 points. He is a user, 5 rebounds, the young Daniel Glover, 1.3 assists, 0 steals, 0 blocks, 1 turnover, 40% from the field, and 33% from the three-point line. And Daniel Glover has been playing good. I think he's been picking his spots. He's been letting Eric Soto and Shy Hall really run the show. He's been picking his spots well. I think he can up the production a bit to help them out. But this team is 2-1, so I think it'll be interesting to see what they adjust and do. Maybe get him more looks. Definitely deserves more looks. He's shooting pretty efficient, not shooting too bad, and the kid has tremendous upside. But I think they've really been playing through their stars: Owen Norris, Shao Hall, and Eric Soto. But the kid has been picking his spots well amongst the stars in that starting lineup and doing his thing. Maybe move him to the bench because you got so many star-studded guys, or maybe move Eric Soto to the bench and it'll open up things for Daniel Glover. But I'm still going to give Daniel Glover a B because through 3 games, I still like what I've seen from him. He's picked his spots well. The team is 2-1. You can't complain there. Shah Hall, Mr. 5'9", we know he had that big performance, but outside of that big 48 point performance, Shah Hall has struggled in the other 2 games outside of that huge game that we've seen from him. He's averaging 24 points in 32 minutes, 2 rebounds, 7.6 assists, 0 steals with 0.6 steals. So a bit like a little bit above half a steal, half a turnover. That's great from your point guard. 45% from the field and 31% from the three-point line. I think he definitely showed you he can be a starter at an SBA pro level. Definitely showing you that through 3 games. 7 assists right now. I'm not sure who's leading the series. I'm gonna go through all that league leaders and all that in All-Star. We're gonna have that by next week. I'm gonna put that all in one graphic so you can see it at the same time. But as of right now, yeah, man, Shah Hall just a tremendous playmaker. And although he hasn't had the best night shooting on the nights outside of that big night, he's still shooting it efficient, pretty efficient, and giving you a high clip, high productivity. So I'm gonna give Shah Hall actually I'm gonna give him an A. I don't want to give nobody that A plus because nobody really perfect, but this is high productivity through 3 games. I'm not gonna lie. Only losing 1 game, this is high productivity. The only reason why I'm not gonna give him the A plus is because he didn't have a good game in the other 2 games, and that big performance is really, I feel like, carrying the numbers with it only being 3 games right now. But I'm still gonna give him an A because he still played tremendous through 3, and I can't complain. Eric Soto, 20 points per game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 0.3 turnovers, 31% from the field, and 42% from the three-point line. Eric Soto has looked good this season so far, putting up good numbers, getting it done. And shout out to Eric Soto, man. Shout out to Eric Soto. Much like Shah Hall, he had that one big game that's really carrying on the numbers right now. So if I had to give him a grade, I'm gonna give him a B plus because he went cold after the first performance. He had a big game, first game, and then he kind of been cool from then. So because I'm still interested to see what's going on, I'm gonna give him a B plus right now, and I'm being generous with the grades because we're still very early in the season. I'll start, clamping down on grades later, and he's been still efficient as an average as a whole. So I'm not gonna do my guy Eric Soto that bad, but it's been looking all right, man. It's been looking all right. It's been looking all right. Next up, we got Eric Soto. We got Owen Norris, another great generic here for Partisan Needs. Partisan Needs got 2 good generics and Eric Soto and Owen Norris. Owen Norris, 32 minutes a game, 14.6 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, about a little bit over half an assist per game, 0 steals, 2 blocks a game, 0.3 turnovers, 53% from the field, and 22% from the three-point line. He's not a sharpshooter, but he is a stretch big. He can stretch you out, hit it in a pick and pop. Not super deadly out there for what we've seen thus far, but he can knock him down. Do not sleep on Owen Norris out there. And Owen Norris could get you a bucket, man. I think because Eric Soto and Shai Hall was so hot early on, it kind of took a hit at his numbers. But I think he will prove to be the most consistent scorer. I think Owen Norris will be the most consistent scorer for Partizan Nice moving forward this season. And of course, that remains to be seen. But I think he'll be the most consistent scorer and maybe even the leading scorer of this Partizan Nice team. Um, Shout out to Partizan Nice, though. They're looking good. The numbers is looking good for their players. Owen Norris, if I have to give him a grade, I'll give him a B plus as well. I think he can up the production, but he is playing efficient. Could maybe be a little bit more aggressive on the rebounding. But yeah, I give him still a B plus. Still give him a B plus. Low, a good generic, averaging 11 points off the bench in only 11 minutes. So definitely want to see him get some more minutes. But when you got a guy like Shai Hall, I know the coach wants to keep him in any minute because he could just go off at any second. But definitely want to see them work Dennis Lowe in a little bit more. Lionel Morgan averaging 17 minutes, 9 points, 8 rebounds in 17 minutes. So Lionel Morgan definitely trying to earn more minutes. That is great production right there. And Lionel Morgan 78% from the field. Whoa. So 9 and 8 in 17 minutes and 78% from the field. Lionel Morgan definitely looking to get some more numbers up there on the board. Joseph Ryan, though. Shout out to Joseph Ryan. It looked like Joseph Ryan is starting at that underside center right there, but Joseph Ryan was killing it. Killing it this last week. 8 points, 11 rebounds right there. I think him and Lionel Morgan could split that time a little bit better. Then maybe we could trim some of the minutes from these guys. I'm gonna definitely look over some of these teams and fix up some of these rotations going through this week as well. But big shout out to you guys sticking through the podcast, man. It was another good podcast, another great podcast, guys. Appreciate you for tuning in. We got through it, man. We locked it down. I want to talk to you about the high school combine. We're gonna start working on that. High school podcast, though, man. High school podcast coming soon. High school podcast coming soon. High school top 100 combine coming soon. So you don't want to miss that, man. We had some late guys join in the registration. We wanted to see if we wanted to take on more guys in the high school class this year to space things out. We might do a little check-in for the high school just to see who's here. But I think for the most part, the guys is here. So I won't do a check-in. But I will add the last few bit of guys. And high school season 1, man. This is about to be our first full high school class, guys. So it's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds. But we're doing a top 100 combine camp for the high school guys before the season start. We're going to get that going. I'm going to get on a call with Zeke after this podcast, and we're going to start putting that together. We're going to start making the jerseys and the court for that. So stay tuned for the high school top 100 combine camp, guys. High school guys are about to turn up in a major way. All the high school guys that's been burning and itching to play, your time is coming, guys. Trust me. Just bear with us, man. We've been working, getting through the series. This is only season 1. So us as a staff, as a league, is brand new, and we're learning as we go, trying to find a way to get this out as clean and as quick as possible for you guys. But appreciate you guys for tuning in, man. 2 hours and 10 minutes, but it was a beautiful podcast. We got through a ton of great content and covered the league very well, I feel. And big shout out to our league. Can I get a hashtag our league in the chat? Hashtag our league in the chat as we close, man. You guys really stuck it through. Also, make sure my staff members get these guys their SC, man. We're going to get it, guys, 50 SC for showing up to the podcast. So make sure to leave your comment, guys, before and after. So you only get 25 SC if you comment in the live chat, but you didn't comment on the video after, and you only get 25 FC if you didn't make it to the live chat, but you comment after. Big shout out to all my players. Salute, man. You guys have been doing the thing. Hashtag our league. Hashtag our league. Hashtag we are simulation, man. You know how we rocking. Kamish Moolah out. Peace, fellas. It's been real. 2 hours strong. We kept a good crowd, man. The SBA community is nothing to play with. We are definitely simulation. And we coming, baby. We coming. Trust me. We are coming. If y'all slept on us, y'all ain't gonna be asleep for too long, man. Peace.